Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Hispanic Political Action Committee, HISPAC. And today we have with us Palm Beach County Sheriff, Mr. Ric Bradshaw. Welcome.
Good evening.
Sheriff Bradshaw, HISPAC. How are you today?
I'm good, very good. Thanks for having me here.
Sheriff, we have a couple of questions for you that we will be delighted to hear your answers to them. The first question we have is, why do you consider the Hispanic vote to be vital and important in these upcoming elections?
Well, every vote is important, but because the Hispanic community has grown so significantly, and I was guessing it's going to be between 35 and 37%, but then I just learned it may be as high as 40. They need to have a voice in this community. If that's going to be your segment of the population, then you have to have a voice in your government. You have to have a voice in your law enforcement, and you need to have that voice heard. I was given to understand that during the primary that the Hispanic vote was less than 3%. That's not good. You can't sit back and complain about things if you don't get out and have your voice heard and change it if you don't like it. So it's very important because the segments of our community that need help are going to have to stand up, make their voices heard, and become the significant part of the community. If it's 40%, that is significant, and you need to have your voices heard. So I think that's why it's very important.
Uno de los puntos importantes que el sheriff acaba de mencionar es que la necesidad de participar en las elecciones, cada vez que hayan elecciones, es muy importante. Y una de las cosas que hemos notado en el condado de Palm Beach es que la participación electoral de la comunidad hispana es muy poca, es muy pobre. O sea, si cogemos un distrito normal que tiene 60,000 habitantes, donde el 35% de la población tiene derecho a votar, lo que hemos encontrado que la población anglosajona, ellos participan en un 18 a un 20%. Encontramos que la población afroamericana, ellos participan aproximadamente un 9 a un 12%, pero los hispanos apenas un 3%. Señores, y si vamos a contar, si queremos que nos cuenten, si queremos que nos ayuden, tenemos que participar en el proceso electoral, que es lo que le está recomendando el Sheriff Bradshaw.
Gracias, Juan. Next question. Why should the Hispanic community get involved in public safety decisions?
Well, in order for us to be effective in the Hispanic community, we have to have a partnership. And we can't do it all by ourselves. The biggest thing that we can do is in communities is go in there and listen to what people say are their problems. You know, one of the biggest mistakes I ever made when I got involved with community policing is going to an organization and saying, here's what we're going to do to solve your problems. And the problems that I thought they had were not their problems. It was something else. So in order for us to make people's neighborhoods safe, in order for us to make their community safe, it has to be that partnership of working together to solve common problems. So they have to get involved with it.
Uno de los issues más grandes que tenemos a través del Estado y en los condados es la participación muy pobre o la falta de entender cuáles son los problemas que tiene la comunidad. Y la oficina del sheriff puede estar pensando de una manera cuando la realidad de la comunidad es otra. Por lo tanto, el sheriff lo que quiere establecer una relación bien cercana, una relación íntima donde se comprendan y se entiendan los problemas de la población hispana para que la oficina del sheriff pueda responder a ellos y ayudarlos a resolverlos. Pero es una solución mutua. Es unidos, trabajando para llevarlo a cabo.
Así es. How can the recruiting of more Hispanic officers to work at PBSO can positively impact the agency?
Well, it's always good for us to have the personnel that work with us reflect what the community reflects. So if the community is 40%, it'd be good for us to have 40% of the people that work in our agency be Hispanic. Two good things happen. One, I think people feel more comfortable Two, it certainly helps with the language barrier that we have in some of these communities. And three, they bring an understanding to the agency that maybe we didn't get before because we're not that close to the different communities. So there's a real advantage to having Hispanic officers there. We go on a significant recruiting mission. We did a lot of in-person recruiting before COVID came. Now we're having to do more virtual, but we're always looking for more Hispanics to get involved with our agency so we can reflect what the community looks like.
Dado el crecimiento poblacional en el condado de Palm Beach de la comunidad hispana que se están constantemente mudando a nuestro condado y ha crecido de una manera y se proyecta que va a crecer hasta un 40%, 30-40% de acuerdo con la oficina del censo en el 2020. Por lo tanto, el reclutamiento de oficiales hispanos es muy importante para la oficina del sheriff. Es una cosa donde ellos quieren tener una representación genuina, una representación bien específica de lo que es la comunidad. Y ya envuelven los hispanos, los afroamericanos o los anglosajones, pero son toda la comunidad que esté representada en la oficina del sheriff.
How new police reforms could be of benefit to our Hispanic community?
Can you repeat that one time? You got a little broken up.
Oh, sorry.
That's
How
okay.
how new police reforms could be of benefit to our Hispanic community?
Well, it's a benefit to every community, whether it's Hispanic or whether it's African American or just the white Anglo community. The police reforms that are being talked about out there, we started those over 5 years ago. All of the 8 things that former President Obama thought that were outstanding things that police agencies need to have to be great police agencies, we've been doing those for a long time. I think the most significant is how we report things. If people have a problem, they can be rest assured that if they bring that complaint to us, it's going to be fully investigated, fully documented, and something's going to be done about it. So I think because of the reforms that we've put in, because they're the ones that everybody should be doing, that it will heighten the trust factor between the communities. And that's the biggest thing. We got to trust each other. The other thing that I'm doing that is going to help is we're finally going to get the body cameras that we've been asking for, get that technology there. So I think that, you know, between all the reforms that we've done, the fact that we're going to get the body cameras out there, that we can bolster our trust between each other, because that's the biggest thing. We have to be able to trust each other to go forward.
Una de las cosas importantes es que la policía se gane la confianza de la comunidad, donde puedan trabajar juntos hacia una meta mutua. La oficina del sheriff en el condado de Palm Beach ha estado envuelto ya en muchas de las reformas policiales que se están hablando ahora. Ya ellos cumplieron y están en esa todavía, porque fueron reformas que le sugirieron bajo la presidencia del presidente Obama y ahora que se están sugiriendo bajo la presidencia del señor Trump. O sea, es donde la oficina del sheriff continuamente ha estado practicando esas reformas, buscando. El próximo paso es la instalación de las cámaras personales en los uniformes, donde la policía automáticamente puede grabar el incidente que se reportó, lo que está sucediendo, y al mismo tiempo continuar ganándose la confianza de la comunidad y continuar trabajando juntos.
And this is the last question we have for you today.
Okay.
What programs does PBSO has in place to help our Hispanic youth stay away from gangs involvement?
That's a great question. And we spend a lot of time on that. You know, here's the sad reality. These gangs go after our kids between 8 and 12 years old, very young. And the most vulnerable are the kids that don't have anything to do after school, or they don't have any supervision. They got time on their hands, or they drop out of school and they got no jobs. So the gangs make it easy on them. They give them money. They give them a place to go. They give them, you know, fellowship where maybe they don't have the same thing at home. So we do a lot of things. We work with the schools. We do programs on gang resistance called GREAT. We make sure that we have after school programs. We make sure that our deputies that work in the communities will mentor young kids. The main thing is have these after-school programs like the Boys and Girls Clubs. We sponsor a lot of athletic programs when the athletics will get back into. The COVID has really put a strain on the programs that we like to have out there. But I think they'll be coming back soon when we get back to somewhat normal. But we spend a lot of time and money, and I put a lot of money back into this community for kids programs, and the fact that we're going to target the fact that these gangs try to get these kids really young. Strengthening the family is very important. If they got a good family structure, if they got a good support system at home where they know that there's people there to help them and people they can talk to, is very important. So we try to help strengthen the family structure also. So we know that these gangs are out there. We know that they're after our kids, and we put a lot of effort in to try to keep these kids away from the gangs and keep them out of that.
Uno de los programas más importantes que tiene la oficina del sheriff es el programa de la juventud, donde el sheriff sabe, la oficina del sheriff y sus empleados, que las gangas tienden a reclutar los muchachos que están en las edades de 8 a 12 años, que son los más vulnerables, son los más factibles para ellos tratar de reclutar. Y obviamente porque no tienen, quizás algunos de ellos, porque no tienen una estructura familiar por sus padres, o porque solamente es un padre soltero, como decimos, o una madre soltera, y no tienen esa supervisión directa de los padres o familiares que los ayuden. Por lo tanto, el sheriff gasta una cantidad, invierte una cantidad bien grande de dinero de su propio presupuesto en la comunidad para evitar el desarrollo de gangas, para ayudar a que estos muchachos se identifiquen. Por eso trabaja de cerca con las escuelas, por eso trabaja de cerca con diferentes organizaciones a través del condado para atraer a esta juventud que no se desvíen hacia las gangas, porque al final de cuentas la ganga lo que les va a traer que son problemas adicionales y cárcel, que Dios no lo quiera.
Sheriff, thank you very much for your time and everything you do for our Palm Beach County community. As I mentioned to you earlier before we started the interview, we have several programs that we're putting in place and we would love to run them over with you. And most of these programs have to do to keep our kids safe.
Well, please send me that information. And let me just say this in closing. One of the things that touched my heart the most was during a hurricane and then all this pandemic, we got information that people were either afraid to go to the shelters or afraid to come and get tested or get some of the food because they were afraid of the sheriffs and they were going to check their immigration. It really bothered me. I felt a real sadness in my heart over that. And so I've taken a lot of effort to get on Hispanic media and meet with the various groups to say, listen, you got to trust us. You cannot not take advantage of what's going on out here because you're afraid of the sheriffs. You don't need to be afraid of us. I don't care about your immigration status. I really don't. If you need help, if your family needs to go to a shelter, if you need to get tested for COVID or you need to get food for your family, come to us at the various events. We're not going to see if your immigration status is whatever it is, good, bad, or indifferent. I want to help your family. That's part of trusting each other. So if I don't get one message out any more than anything else, because that really bothered me and it still bothers me to this day, I just want to help people. I want to help their families. So yes, I'm going to get involved with your programs. Give me that information. And the other thing is, and this is muy importante, get out.
Yes, it is.
Bueno, una de las cosas que queremos dejarle saber a la comunidad es que el sheriff no trabaja para ICE, no trabaja con inmigración, a él no le interesa su estatus migratorio, o si es documentado o indocumentado. Es cómo te puede ayudar, porque mientras tú seas un ciudadano que cumpla con los requisitos de la ley, él no va a tener necesidad de intervenir contigo de una manera de proponer un arresto, pero sí para poder ayudarte. Y por eso, mientras tú cumplas con la ley, no vas a tener la habitación gratis con aire acondicionado que te ofrece la policía. No, es cómo se va a trabajar junto, cómo ayudar a la comunidad. Y si la persona no habla inglés, no hay problema. Ellos tienen personal que habla el español, tienen personal que habla el criollo. O sea, que se pueden facilitar el entendimiento y moverse todos juntos en una misma dirección.
Great job, Juan.
Sheriff,
Agree with
thank
you.
you very much for your participation, and we're very proud to have endorsed you under our
Thank you.
Hispanic
I'm
Political
very
Action
proud of
Committee.
that. I'm very, very proud of that. And thank you so much for your help. And I look forward to working with you.
Perfect.
Have a great day.
Thank
See
you,
you
Sheriff.
next time. Bye-bye.